Jason's Academy, Social Science, Class 6, History. Lesson 8 about various philosophies. Hello, students. Today we are going to start Lesson 8 about various philosophies. The meaning of philosophy is love of wisdom. In a broad sense, philosophy is an activity people undertake when they seek to understand fundamental truth about themselves, the world in which they live, and their relationships to the world and to each other. So, in this chapter, we will study about the various philosophy. First, let's see about the Upanishad. Upanishads are late Vedic Sanskrit texts of religious teaching and ideas still reversed in Hinduism. They are the most recent part of the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. The Vedas that deal with meditation, philosophy, and ontological knowledge. Other parts of Vedas deal with mantras, benedictions, rituals, ceremonies, and sacrifices. Among the most important literature in the history of Indian religion and culture, the Upanishads played an important role in the development of spiritual ideas in ancient making, marking a transition from Vedic ritualism to new ideas and institutions. Of all Vedic literature, the Upanishads alone are widely known, and their central ideas are at the spiritual core of Hinduism. Around 108 Upanishads are known, of which the first dozen or so are the oldest and most important and are referred to as the principles or main Upanishads. Now, let's see next topic, that is causes of rise of Buddhism and Jainism. The primary cause for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism was the religious unrest in India in the 6th century BC. The complex rituals and sacrifices advocated in the later Vedic period were not acceptable to the common people. The sacrificial ceremonies were also found to be too expensive. The superstitious beliefs and mantras confused the man. The teaching of Upanishad, an alternative to the system of sacrifices, were highly philosophical in nature and therefore not easily understood by all. Therefore, what was needed in the larger interest of the people was a simple, short, and intelligible way to salvation for all people. Such religious teaching should also be in a language known to them. This need was fulfilled by the teaching of Buddha and Mahavira. Now, let's understand about Jainism. Jainism, traditionally known as Jain Dharma, is an ancient Indian religion. Jain Dharma traces its spiritual ideas and history through a succession of 24 leaders of Tirthankars. Vardhaman Mahavir, a contemporary of Buddha, is commonly regarded as the founder of Jainism. Let's see the life of Mahavira. He was the spiritual successor of 23rd Tirthankar, Parshvantha. Mahavir was born in the early part of the 6th century BC into a royal Kshatriya Jain family in Bihar, India. His mother's name was Trishala and father's name was Siddharth. They were lay devotee of Parshvantha. Mahavira abandoned all worldly possessions at the age of about 30 and left home in pursuit of spiritual awakening. Became an ascetic. Mahavira practiced intense meditation and severe austerities for 12 and a half years, after which he attained Keval Gyan. He preached for 30 years and attained moksha in the 6th century BCE. Although the years varieties of sect. Mahavir taught that observance of the vows of ahimsa, sati, astya, brahmacharya, and aprigraha are necessary for spiritual liberation. He taught the principle of anek antvad, saivad, and naivad. Mahavir's teachings were compiled by Indrabhuti Gautam, his chief discipline, as the Chain Agams. The texts transmitted orally by Jain monks are believed to have been largely lost by about the 1st century CE. The serving version of the Agams taught by Mahavira are some of Svetambar Jainism foundation text, but their authenticity is disputed in Digambara Jainism. Mahavira is usually depicted in a sitting or standing meditative posture with the symbol of a lion beneath him. His earliest iconography is from archaeological sites in the North Indian city of Mathura. According to the Digambara Uttarapuran text, Mahavira was born in Kundalpur in the kingdom of the Videsh. The Svetambar Kalpa Sutra uses the name Kundagram, said to be located in present day Bihar, India. Mahavira advised his followers to take 5 oaths in life. First, not to injure anyone. Second, not to steal. Third, not to tell lie. Fourth, not to own property. Fifth, not to lead an impure life. The Jain munis helped to spread Jainism in Rajasthan, Western India, Bengal, and Central India. Later on, many kings adopted it as a state religion. There are many Jain temples in India. Dilwara temple at Mount Abu and Palitana temple at Satruni Hill are famous. After the death of Mahavira, his followers were divided into two sects. First is Shwetambar and second is Digambar. Shwetambars, they wore white dress. Digambar, they did not wear clothes. Contribution of Jainism. As the ancient language Sanskrit was not taught to all and understood by all, so Mahavir preached in an easy and simple Ardh Magadhi language so that even common people could understand. The famous caves in Udaygiri hills of Madhya Pradesh and in Ellora in Maharashtra are fine examples of Jain architecture and sculpture. Jainism stressed on ahimsa or non-injury to any living being. Now let's understand about Buddhism. Buddhism is the world's fourth largest religion with over 520 million followers or over 7% of the global population known as Buddhist. Buddhism encompasses a varieties of traditions, beliefs, and spiritual practices largely based on original teachings attributed to the Buddha and resulting interpreted philosophies. Buddhism was founded by Gautam Buddha in 6th century BC. He followed the middle path in his teaching. Therefore, his teaching became more popular. Now, let's see the life of Gautam Buddha. The Buddha, also known as Siddhartha, was a philosopher, meditator, spiritual teacher, and religious leader who lived in ancient India. He is revered as the founder of the world religion of Buddhism and worshipped by most Buddhist schools as the enlightened one who has transcended karma and escaped the cycle of birth and rebirth. He taught for around 45 years and built a large following both monastic and lay. His teaching is based on his insight into dukkha and the end of dukh, the state called nibbana or nirvana. The Buddha was born into an aristocratic family in the Shakya, clean but eventually renounced lay life. According to Buddhist tradition, after several years of mendicancy, meditation, and asceticism, he awakened to understand the mechanism which keeps people trapped in the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha then traveled throughout the Ganges plain, teaching and building a religious community. The Buddha taught a middle way between sensual indulgence and the savior asceticism found in the Indian Shraman movement. He taught a spiritual path that included ethical training and meditative practices such as Jhana and mindfulness. The Buddha also critiqued the practices of Brahman priests such as animal sacrifice. A couple of centuries after his death, he became to be known by the title Buddha, which means awakened one or enlightened one. Gautam's teachings were compiled by the Buddhist community in the Sutta, which contains his discourses and the Vinaya, his codes for monastic practice. These were passed down in Middle Indo-Aryan dialects through an oral tradition. Siddharth did not have peace of mind in spite of having all the comforts. One day, when he went along with his charioteer, he had a strange experience which changed his whole life. He saw an old man, a sick man, a dead man, and ascetic. He came to know four truths of life: that everyone grows old, anyone can fall sick, every person has to die one day. Calm and peaceful life can be acquired. After seeing all this misery, he decided to renounce the world and left his life home at the age of 29 years. This event is called as the Great Renunciation. Siddharth wandered from place to place, begged for food. He learned the teaching of meditation and the teaching of Upanishads. One day he sat under a peepal tree in Gaya and started meditating. After a very long period, he attained supreme knowledge and was now called Buddha. The tree beneath which he attained enlightenment became the tree of wisdom or the Bodhi Vraksh. Buddha first travelled to Sarnath near Varanasi. He gave his first sermon at Deer Park in Sarnath. It is known as Dharma Chakra Pravartan. Later on, he went to Magadh, Vaishali, Koshambi and preached about Buddhism. He died in 483 BC at the age of 80 in Khushi Nagar, UP. Buddha preached in Prakrit language of common people. Many people became his followers. Soon, these followers formed a Sangha. Buddha's main teachings are contained in the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. The Four Noble Truths are: the world is full of suffering. Desire is the main cause of suffering. One must get rid of suffering. To end suffering, one must follow the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path of Buddha's discipline are: right belief, right thought, right speech, right action, right living, right efforts, right mindfulness, right meditation. Buddhism was spread not only in India but in the whole world. It became popular in Sri Lanka, Tibet, China, Japan, Myanmar, Thailand, Indochina, and other countries in Central and Southeast Asia. Buddha's practical and simple doctrine made their impact on Hindus. The practice of worshipping personal gods, making their temples, was adopted by the Hindus from Buddhism only. Buddhist monasteries developed into great educational centers. This developed into universities like Nalanda, Takshila, Vikramshila. They attached many scholars from other countries of the world. After Buddha's death, his teachings were collected and compiled into Tripitakas. The Jataka tales were also written. Jatakas are collection of episodes supposed to have occurred in Buddha's earlier lives. The stupas at Sachi, Bharhat and Amravati, the stone pillars of Ashoka and the cave temples of Kanheri, Karli and Nasik are the gifts given by Buddhist art and architecture. So, students, in this chapter, we read about the Upanishad, Gautam Buddha, Mahavir, and the lives of Gautam Buddha and the Mahavir. The Upanishads are post Vedic texts. Lord Buddha and Lord Mahavir both read the Upanishad. Both were born in royal families and gave up worldly pleasures to become sages. Both preached ahimsa and respected all forms of life. They stressed karma and moksha for better future. The reason popularity was the use of language of the common people, that is Pali and Palkrit. Students, we have completed this chapter. I hope all of you have understood. Thank you.